I see 1, 2, 3. All right, I think we've got a full house. So with that, I'm seeing 6 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded. And Jonathan, can you call the roll?
Yeah. Director Brandt?
Here.
Director Flaherty?
Here.
Director Bertrand? He's absent. Director Freeman?
Here.
Director Aguilar?
Here.
Director Geis?
Here.
And Director Deschler.
I get to say something already? Woohoo! I'm here. I haven't been sworn in yet.
All right, great. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Anaskoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. And with that, we'll go to the consent agenda. Do any directors have items they wish to pull? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I will second.
All right, motion by Geis, seconded by Freeman. Is there any public comment? All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Any board comment? All right, let's call the question and do a roll call.
Director Brandt?
Yes.
Director Freeman?
Yes.
Director Geis?
Yes.
Director Flaherty?
Yes.
Director Aguilar?
Yes.
And Director Deschler? We'll wait till you're sworn in to do the vote like we did with everyone else.
Excellent. All right. With that, we'll go to the public comment period. This is the time for any member of the public to speak on matters within the board's subject jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. So we won't take any action on any item that's not on the agenda. Any requests to speak?
I have one that someone emailed me to be read during the meeting.
All right, and I think I see a microphone from Mark. All right, Mark, thanks for joining us. Go ahead now.
You know, I don't know how much this falls within the scope of the public comment that is allowed, but I just want to say I'm so appreciative of this board, and this is my first time back in Isla Vista, and it's lovely to see 2 and soon to be 3 of the new board members, and where this board has come since my very first year at UCSB. And so, yeah, just congratulations to you all. And I'm just sharing that I'm happy to be back and hopefully more of a regular citizen member of this board too.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. And we're glad to have you back. We'll have to catch up virtually soon. All right. Any other requests, members of the public, to speak on items not on our agenda? All right, Jonathan, you want to read that comment into the record?
Yeah, it's from Peter Nuschel. So he says, board members, I reviewed the Isla Vista Community Mobility Plan proposal submitted to CARB. The major defect in Isla Vista's mobility ecosystem is lack of parking. At present, this is not a serious problem because COVID ended UCSB tenants, staff, students, and faculty day and night parking in IV. I propose that the $182,158 you received be used to complete a study that officially records UCSB parking footprint in Isla Vista. The CSD is supposed to implement a parking permit program. COVID presents a unique opportunity to accurately record how many free parking spaces UCSB tenants, staff, students, and faculty consume. Isla Vista has no parking in a non-COVID mobility ecosystem because UCSB charges their tenants, staff, students, and faculty for parking. Why pay UCSB when you can park an IV for free? This study will approximate UCSB's costs to the public. Isla Vista's normal environment forces tenants and residents to walk several blocks, often late at night, in order to reach apartments and homes. This problem can be resolved by implementing a parking permit program, a reason the CSD exists. See the flyer below. To date, there is no evidence of a step toward that objective. The CARB funds can help remedy that deficiency. I look forward to following up with CARB on how public monies are used by the CSD. We already have excellent public transportation. Indeed, the Santa Barbara MTD's letter of support points out that IV consumes 43% of total system-wide ridership. MTD exists because of IV's mobility ecosystem. That number could increase significantly once free parking for non-resident tenants is eliminated, improving air quality. You have this money because CARB is rubber stamping cut and paste grants from any and all government agencies. In this instance, you can count on at least one taxpayer tracking where the money ends up, and he attaches a flyer from the Measure R campaign.
Great, thank you for your comment, Mr. Nichol. All right, we will close general public comments and go to our first item, which is the swearing in of UCSB appointed director to the board of directors. And Jonathan, I think here we received a letter from UCSB Chancellor Yang this past Friday, appointing Kirsten Deschler to our board. And Ms. Deschler, we're so excited to have you joining us. And thank you for your willingness and commitment to serve the people of Isla Vista and the UCSB Isla Vista community.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I want to give a shout out to George Thurlow, who did a really great job for many years. And he retired in December. And I'm just so excited to be part of this board. I attended many of the AB3 meetings, and I know all of you, or some of you, Catherine and Marcos, will get to know you, and Bob as well. So I just really look forward to being able to represent the university on this board and working closely with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Deschler, for that. And now, Jonathan, I believe we have to administer the oath of office. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
All right. So with that, I think the way that I'll do it, I will read the oath of office, and then Kirsten, at the end, you can say, I do.
I can do that.
Do you, Kirsten Deschler, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter, and during such time that you hold office of director on the Isla Vista Community Services District.
I do. Thank you.
Congratulations, Director Deschler. We look forward to working together with you.
Thank you. And I love the alliteration.
I like that too. That's a really nice touch. Excellent. Well, with that, I think we'll get on to the meat of our meeting, and we'll go to the next item on our agenda, which is the Isla Vista Community Center CDBG grant match. And I want to turn this over to Jonathan, who I know has worked diligently on this grant over the past couple of months.
Great, thank you. So the grant was officially submitted on Friday the 8th to apply for $200,000 of federal money to help improve the Isla Vista Community Center. And that grant, as part of the submission, and it's attached to the item, is we based part of it on the CSD doing a $50,000 match. And so it's not a requirement of applying or winning the grant, but it highly increases our chances of winning the grant. And so the $50,000 would come out of our accumulated capital reserve, and that's the fund that's designated for things like this. And we will know in about a month. I think last CDBG grant they applied at the beginning of January. They knew by the by the end of February on the results. So if we approve this tonight, we could send that information in so that it's part of our application.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Jonathan. Maybe just one question that I have off the top of my head is when we allocate money for something like this, does it flow out of our accounts and go to the state and then it comes back to us if we get the grant? Or is the 50,000 only something that we put up if we do end up getting the grant?
Yeah, we're only voting to pledge the money. So once we get the grant, I think we'd be giving the money to the county, who's going to be actually administering it, because so the county is going to receive the money and do manage the work of the project, and we're going to be highly involved. So we'd be working with them to spend that. But no, the money's not going to leave our account until the work starts.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Board members, any questions? I see a hand from Jay. Go to you.
And because we, and because we were planning on this before, this money has already been allocated in our budget.
It's not in our budget; it's in our reserves, which is.
Oh, wait, sorry, no, that's right. It's coming out of the reserves. Okay.
We actually do have a budget for community center improvements, though, too, but this would become.
Does this satisfy our reserve policy?
It matches what this reserve is to be used for, which is capital improvements. We just need to, our reserve is actually way past full right now. We're past our minimum requirements.
That was the question I was essentially getting. Sir, thank you.
Any other questions? Director Geis.
Hey, Jonathan, just the improvements that we're going to make is for the outside of the building, the canopies and stuff.
It's the canopies, it's lighting for the whole area, and signage. And yeah, so those are the three things: signage, lighting, and the canopy, some seating, some improvements to the patio area.
Cool. I think when we formed that capital reserve, one of the discussion points was, hey, we would have this money and hopefully leverage other grants to make improvements in the community. So it seems to kind of fit in that we're kind of being part of this leveraging of the CDBG money, and we're a better applicant if we make a contribution.
Yeah, we'd get 4 times in our return if we allocated this. So.
And then maybe for the new members of the board, we are in discussions with the county about transferring that entire building to our district in the next maybe over the next couple of years. We're working on that.
Great. Yeah, and I would also add that this is really exciting because all the things that you just mentioned, that the grant is for, the canopy and the lighting and that sort of outdoor area, are things that were high on the community's prioritization list throughout the process to design what the Isla Vista Community Center build out would look like. And I know at the time when we weren't able to get just everything we wanted during the first renovations, I know there was some disappointment, but seeing us here now that we are able to have an opportunity to invest in the building and to make some of these improvements potentially come to fruition, I think is a really cool thing. And I would just want to thank Jonathan and Deborah for the work that you put in on this, and the county staff as well for helping us navigate the CDBG process. Director Flaherty.
I just wanted to add a comment too. I think it would relate to our other item, 4.5, Isla Vista Nightlife Arts and Cultural Planning, especially the lighting aspect too for future events that we choose to host there. I think that will really benefit the experience for community members. So I like how that can be tied to the other item as well.
Excellent. Yes, I can't agree more. I know I missed the very limited time window that we did have this past year in 2020, where we did have some nightlife at the community center with Jeffrey's Jazz Coffee House. I know that was one of my, well, it was my favorite thing that I've ever done in the community center. One of the only things I've done in the community center. I voted there. I've toured it many of times, but it was really great to see that space just become vitalized. And I'm really excited for all of the more events like that we can have once we get to the other side of this dark time that we're in right now. All right, if there's no other board comments, I'd open it up for public comment. Any members of the public have comment on the CDBG grant for the community center? All right, I'll close public comment. If there's no other board discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I will move to approve allocating $50,000 out of the $304,000 accumulated capital reserve as a match for the CDBG grant.
I second that.
All right, motion made by Freeman, seconded by Flaherty. Is there any other comment or board discussion? All right, let's go to roll call vote.
Director Brandt,
Yes.
Director Freeman,
Yes.
Director Flaherty,
Yes.
Director Aguilar,
Yes.
Director Deschler.
Yes.
And I said yes too, but you didn't ask me.
I did. I heard you.
You did.
All right, motion passes 7-0. Exciting times. All right, next we have item 4.3, the 970 Embarcadero Del Mar lease, 4th Amendment.
Great. This is one of the simplest things to approve. It's just a no changes to our lease, just an extension through the rest of the year through August, so that we could have time to negotiate the unified lease for both buildings. So this goes through August 1st, 2020. July 31st, 2021. So not complicated at all. This is just a simple extension of our office and community room and our upstairs space.
Great. Any board members have questions or comments? All right. I think this is a pretty simple item. If there's no public comment, I'd entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the 4th Amendment to the district's lease of 970 Embarcadero Del Mar.
All right, motion made by Freeman. Is there a second?
I second that.
Seconded by Flaherty. Any public comment on the 4th Amendment? Not that 4th Amendment. The 4th Amendment, please. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board and let's go to a roll call vote.
Director Brandt,
Yes.
Director Freeman,
Yes.
Director Geis,
Yes.
Director Flaherty,
Yes.
Director Aguilar,
Yes.
Director Deschler.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Next, we have the district COVID-19 response. And I think, we've had the COVID-19 response on our agenda as a standing item since the pandemic began. And I think that during this time where we're all staying at home, making so many different changes to our behavior, it can, the time can sort of meld together, I guess, in a way. And it can be hard to realize the differences in the rapidly changing environment around us. And I think that we're in one of those times right now where the pandemic has escalated to such a degree that really, I think, was unfathomable for many of us, even just a couple of months ago. And I think it's just important that we state that off top, just to sort of reorient ourselves and our thinking, as we move into this discussion about this. But Jonathan, I'll hand it over to you to give a brief update of what's going on.
Thank you. And that's a very good point of how everything blurs together. And that's why I've kept this document attached with all the past work behind, so we can go back and look at how we built upon what we've done for the district's COVID-19 response. So we've done quite a bit since our last meeting in December. The first thing is we did our messaging on holiday travel and how to be safe on that, and we started planning efforts to promote testing in January once we got the information last week. And we also sent out some information on COVID-19 business grants to Isla Vista businesses. So it was pretty simple what we did in December of 2020. And this month so far, what we've done is we've worked with UCSB SEAL office, which is led by Viviana Marzano, who we work with a lot on doing different incentives and promotions to make sure that the testing site in Isla Vista is people are aware and utilizing it. So she got some incentives from the co-op for last weekend, and we're doing some this coming weekend, giving out yerba mates with a flyer on how to be COVID safe, or a sticker actually. And so that's what's coming up, and we've actually had a lot of success promoting the testing, and it looks like the utilization at Ivy Theater was very, very high. I don't have the exact numbers to share with you yet because they just haven't been sent to me. I think it was something in the range of 500 per day is what I heard. So I can get you an exact figure, but our promotion was really successful, and there were other partners who were involved in getting the word out, UCSB, City College. So the word has gone out. And then another thing that's a little more smaller scale, but still very important, was Deborah worked with the neighborhood clinics to make sure that their drive-through testing option was continuing to operate in our 970 parking lot in a safe way, since it couldn't operate anymore in the 976 parking lot of the community center since the pallet shelter went up there. So that is the other kind of testing that's happening in Isla Vista right now, but it's for patients of the neighborhood clinics, and it's in our parking lot now. So that's our update.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Jonathan. And while we don't have exact figures yet on the testing at the Isla Vista Theater that Public Health put together this weekend, Dr. Del Reynoso did share today at the county board meeting that they gave out 4 times as many tests as they anticipated throughout the weekend, which is an incredible number. And some of the reports that I heard were that people were waiting all around the block. The line went all the way to the Isla Vista Foot Patrol offices. Granted, it's a socially distant line, so it's a little longer than maybe otherwise would be. But I think that just really shows the incredible demand that the community really is taking guidance about making sure that we get tested as an important part of our strategy to try and combat the virus. So I was really happy to hear about that. Director Deschler.
I just wanted to say that I got those numbers for the IV testing this weekend. So initially, Santa Barbara County Public Health had figured about 75 tests per day. The first day was 231 tests, and the second day was 332 tests. So it completely exceeded what they thought what they had budgeted. And I just also wanted to mention that the campus is offering testing for students, faculty, and staff through Student Health Services, and that's all through winter term. And so that is also available to students and others associated with the campus.
Excellent.
Yes, we actually were asked to kind of help promote, if you're affiliated with UCSB, try to get these tests so that we can keep the tests at Ivy Theater open to others in the public who don't have that option.
Right.
And one last thing I didn't mention that we did as part of our efforts, and we talk a lot about what we do to help the community respond to COVID-19, but we also have our own organization issues with COVID-19 safety. So we had a lot of employees leaving the area for the holidays, our dirt riders, and so we developed our return to work policy with public health department to make sure that everything was happening safely, since we do have 6 employees who do work out in the field, visiting 96 households or it's all no contact, but we still went with a 14-day quarantine with a test on the 10th day for our employees before returning to work. So that's the policy that we developed.
Great. Director Flaherty.
I just have a question on the community testing. I know that it obviously began this past weekend. How many other weekends will it be in IV? I don't believe it was just for this weekend, but how long do you think this will be continued, or is it just as long as we have those available tests?
I can tell you there hasn't been, can I answer?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I can tell. Oh, you guys are gonna love me. I can tell you that there is no end date. And we have UCSB has a partnership with Santa Barbara County Public Health that we are with the Ivy Theater, and so there is not an end date. So the expectation is, as long as there's a need, and as long as there's usage, it will continue on.
Okay, thank you. It'd be great. I know the graphic that the CSD posted didn't. I think it might be good to specify too that it's every weekend until further notice, maybe, just so that students are aware, or like or posting it every week. Maybe. I know social media is a big way that people were able to find out about that, and I know so many people who went there, which is amazing to get tested. So
yeah, we can share it every week. The flyer we posted is not one we made. It's the county's flyer that they provided, and it does say Fridays and Saturdays from 12 to 5. It doesn't have an end date. It says beginning on Friday, January 8th, but I think posting it every week is just a good reminder of here's where you can get your test this week. Just a quick info for the board. We had 163 people on Instagram alone share that flyer to their network, and an additional 97 on Facebook. So that got out there, and people are using that information that we're putting out. So we'll keep doing it.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Or maybe even if we were to make our own graphic that did have each of those dates, just because I am sensitive to the fact that I know that since there was testing back in 2020 at the Ivy Theater, and then it started and then it stopped, that people may be confused about how often that's happening. So I think that's a great point to bring up.
And even for the graphic too, I know it on the graphic itself, it doesn't say testing, but it does in the caption. So even making sure that it's in the picture itself, because I know sometimes when you share something, the caption doesn't show up automatically. So maybe even doing that and really highlighting like testing at the top so that people know. I mean, clearly it was working already because so many people showed up, but just so that people each week are aware.
The picture we actually shared, I can show it on here. It does say free testing. We have a new one. Maybe this was not the one that was originally showed, but it's got it all. It's got it all. The county public health department put it forward. So I'm more comfortable using what their graphics are to promote their events personally.
Sounds good. I forgot about that one. I was referencing like this one, the like blue one. I don't know if you can tell, but it didn't say it, but yes. Sorry, my bad.
Well, that's a simple one that we used the first day before they had a graphic.
My bad.
No worries. I think it's a really important point. One other thing I wanted to bring up that was mentioned today by Dr. Del Reynoso in the briefing is that in October, the contact tracers that work with the public health department were able to successfully go through the contact tracing process with 80% of individuals who had come in contact who had contracted COVID-19. And today, now as the pandemic rages more than ever, they're only able to get cooperation from under 60% of people who've contracted the virus. And I think that's important because, as the virus continues to spread, and unfortunately, more of us have friends, family, and loved ones that come in contact with the virus, it's just really important that I think we be very encouraging of going through the contact tracing process. That contact tracing is not some Orwellian scheme. It's a way to make it easier for you to inform people that may have come in contact with you that they should start taking precautions or continue taking precautions, such as getting tested, self-isolating, just as a really important part of our strategy. So I don't know if that's prudent. I want to defer to public health on messaging like Jonathan was mentioning, but I think it's just important that we all keep in mind, I know I have someone, I'll admit, that is very close to me that contracted COVID-19 and was skeptical when they got that call from the public health department. And it kind of made me think about how sometimes it's the people closest to us that may be a little skeptical of some of these things. And once they were able to get an understanding of what the purpose of the contact tracing was, they're much more comfortable with it. So that's my 2 cents on that as well. Any other comments from board members on COVID response? Director Geis.
So have we heard much in the community and the health department planning for distributions of the vaccines? And I don't know if UCSB is looking to, get at least the older people on the university, the professors and the teachers and the aides and everybody, vaccinated up to be able to get the students back. And I saw UC is wanting to bring the students back in the fall, but I just don't know if anybody's heard anything or if there's any scuttlebutt out there about, how critical it is to get the community vaccinated. So
I don't have any information about a testing plan in Isla Vista beyond what the county's, general vaccine plan. So we'll probably hear more about that later in the year. But as of now, the county's still on phase 1A, which is a limited pool of people, not in Isla Vista. But as we hear, we'll let you all know.
Yeah, it's a great question, Bob. Thinking of all of our faculty and staff that work at the university, potentially who could be eligible for the vaccine as part of their role working for an education setting in the hopefully near future.
Yeah, it seemed like, you look at the media and everything was slow in getting the vaccine out. I think CDC changed the guidelines today that said, hey, everybody's 65 and over, let's go for it so that we get all the vaccines out that they have and rapidly get this moving along faster. So, I've been waiting for agencies like CNN. They report on how many cases there are, but they also need to report on how good are we doing with getting the vaccine out and getting the country vaccinated so that we can open this thing back up. So it's kind of interesting to see how the vaccine's being rolled out. And no different than it's interesting to see how the testing was being rolled out.
Yeah, it's definitely something we can ask. Spencer and I go to the county legislative call on issues like this on Thursdays. So this is a great question that we could forward from our board to see what's the plan going to be like.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments from board members?
would just follow up to Bob and say that the county and the university are working closely together, and there are a group of health professionals at UCSB that are working on a vaccination plan, and there has been some of our health workers have received the vaccine. I think it started this week or maybe last week, and education is not in one of the current tiers. So we're waiting to see how education is defined, and we've heard that the California Department of Public Health will be giving more information on how education is defined for the future tier of vaccination.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Director Deschler. I want to open public comment. Are there any comments from members of the public on COVID-19 response?
I do, Spencer.
Hi, Mark. Go ahead.
I'm going to share what's going to seem like an unrelated anecdote at the beginning. And so the past 6 months, I was electoral organizing, and one of the best parts of that organizing is something we did that was called People You Know. People You Know is when we would have our volunteers reach out to people that they knew to talk about the election, to see how they were feeling, and just to see if they were going to go vote. And the lessons that we learned from that is some people had mixed feelings on the election, and some people were so for the election, but they just didn't know how voting was going to work. And the tremendous success of People You Know has really taught me that relations really matter. And I would really empower every single person on this call to reach out to every single person that you are assuming is, they're definitely getting the vaccine, or they're definitely getting tested regularly, to have a really personal conversation with them, because we make these assumptions about people in our lives, and they really might actually need our help, and we're here for them, and you know, whoever that you is in this call may be the subject matter expert to help that person in your life. And so on that personal level, I really want to empower every one of you all to have those conversations. But also on an organizational level, if UCSB needs any help training people in conversations like this, I'm happy to be an aid, and with my deep canvassing background and using this, stuff that we use for voting to really be done on a larger training model for a COVID response.
Excellent, Mark. And thank you for your comments on that wisdom. Very important. Are there any other members of the public who want to speak on COVID response? All right. So we'll bring it back to the board, and if there's no other discussion, I think we'll move on to our next item, which is Isla Vista nightlife, arts, and cultural planning.
Great. I have a video from Director Bertrand to play first. He asked me if I could make this his introduction to the item since he's out today.
Excellent. Go right ahead.
Share my YouTube screen. Oh, does this work? Good image of Ethan?
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is Ethan Bertrand. Happy New Year, and I hope you are all doing well. Unfortunately, I cannot attend tonight's board meeting due to a medical appointment that I could not reschedule, but I do want to take a moment to provide some comments on the topic of nightlife planning. At our last meeting, the board voted to authorize myself, Director Aguilar, and Vice President Flaherty to work with staff to develop a stakeholder process for planning for the future of nightlife in Isla Vista. Since then, our work group has met, and we had a great meeting just talking about what a successful launch of this process would look like. Number one, we want to make sure that this is collaborative. We want to make sure that there is representation from many segments of our community so that we can really capture what Isla Vista residents and stakeholders want to see at night. We hope that this process will enhance the quality of life of our community, make things safer, and also really give Isla Vista residents positive, meaningful experiences that they enjoy at night. So through such a process, we hope that we can identify goals and categories of different programs that community members want to see. From there, identify some specific concepts of programs. And after that, identify action steps, not only for our district, but also for our partners. So we can assign some responsibilities for how we can really bring these programs to life. Since our work group meeting, we've started to reach out to different community stakeholders in preparation for an initial meeting of the stakeholder group to take place next month. After this board meeting, we would like to formally post about the upcoming meeting and the start of this process so that we can recruit people to come to this first meeting. And at the first meeting, we really want to hear from the community stakeholders about A, what they are already doing in this space, B, what they would like to see come out of a process like this, and how they would like to be involved, as well as to identify additional people who should be at the table. From there, we would like to set up regular meetings of this group and really see what the group desires as far as outcomes. But before this gets started, I will say that we do hope that this will help inform our budget process for this next fiscal year when it comes to community programs. So that's it for now. Just wanted to provide you with this brief update, but thank you all so much for your support with this. And I know that Directors Flaherty and Aguilar will have more to add as well. So thank you so much, and let's continue to improve nightlife in Isla Vista. Take care.
Well, thanks, Ethan. And he also asked me to mention that, because he forgot to put in the video, that he wanted to just make the statement that the way this would fall under our powers is under the operate community facilities, cultural theaters, and other kind of spaces. So he wanted to mention that it would fall under that power, operating.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that, Ethan. I know you wish you could be here with us today, but I thought it was a great introduction. And Directors Flaherty, Director Aguilar, do you have anything you want to add to the introduction of this item? Director Aguilar.
Yeah, just a quick commentary. One of the more important things that the three of us discussed was that we really have a dream of this being a shared process with all of our Isla Vista community. And we want to make sure that people understand that we do have the goal of public benefit, and that this is a really exciting opportunity to revisit the way Isla Vista nightlife occurs. There's clearly a cultural phenomenon of Isla Vista's nightlife, but how can we improve that? How can we include more people from our community to really enjoy what there is to offer? And so we just want to make clear that we view this as a shared process and that we're going to be taking in many people, everyone's consideration. And yeah, shared process. That's my main goal I want to remember.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Aguilar. Director Flaherty.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that too, based on our conversation when we met about this. Something that we identified also is that continuity and that sense of tradition of like weekly or bi-weekly events can really help create a community and that community feel. And that's something that we identified to really be able to increase that. Something that we also talked about too is that this isn't even, usually events can be marketed as alternative events, but this wouldn't even be just an alternative event, it would just be an event. So it's not, it's a different avenue that people can go for nightlife so that they can make those connections. I know, like we talked about, karaoke every week, that at Rockfire also helps create a sense of community, like those events like that. So that's like an example, I guess. And then I've been speaking with some stakeholders that we've kind of identified that we would like to be involved, mainly associated students. I spoke very, very briefly with the EVPLA. She would be interested in attending the meeting, should we have that. And then also involving members of like Interfraternity Council, Panhellenic too. I know that could help for more like philanthropy-based events too that could be a part of this planning, nightlife and cultural planning. So I just wanted to add those few things. I think I got everything.
Excellent. Well, thank you, the both of you, for your work on this and for your insight. I think those are really important insights about how do we create a culture of nightlife that involves events, but also something that's lasting. I know that as like many things in Isla Vista, it's no one's fault. There are lots of start and stop efforts when it comes to, like you said, quote unquote, alternative events. But I really like the direction that you're headed with this as a way to try and really bring all that energy together. And no better time than now for us to dream about when we can gather again and have these fun events than now when we can't. So I appreciate that insight. One thing that I did want to mention that I think Jonathan will be bringing up with your group is that I think we have just ongoing communication with Lucidity, who we worked with to do the virtual event for Halloween, Halloween at Home, as well as the Isla Vista Festival, which never ended up getting off the ground because of COVID. So I definitely encourage you to engage with them as well. They have a lot of insight about and potentially could be executors of some of these like more high profile things. So I'll see a hand from Director Freeman.
Thank you. So I just wanted to make certain that the extent to which this process has identified a set of potential stakeholders that are interested in, or that should be, quote, invited to participate, that given that the Isla Vista Community Service District's ability to support this is going to be in the form of supplemental facilities and potentially public safety, although interestingly only through like the police department and things like that, that the Isla Vista Recreation and Park District, the local government in charge of recreation in the area, is very early on that list of stakeholders to reach out to, contact, make certain that, for example, the February planning process, are they ready to go in February? Like, because we like pushing them in a sense of making them feel like they're catching up to the CSD, that the CSD is trying to really drive the process, and then it's gonna, if nothing else, it's gonna cause bad feelings on their end of their how they're able to feel involved in this. So I just want to make certain that they are reached out to early, given an opportunity to take leadership roles in this and decide even the framework of engagement.
Thank you for that, Jay. Are there any other comments from board members? All right, I'll open it up for public comment. Any comments from members of the public on this item? All right, back to the board. Do we have a recommended action?
Yeah, there's one in the memo that was put in. There was a recommended action. I could read it. It's provide directions to directors Aguilar, Bertrand, and Flaherty to work with staff to launch a stakeholder engagement process as recommended.
Excellent. Do any directors have further discussion, or if not, maybe a motion?
Is a motion called for in the sense of we are providing direction and recommendations to the committee, and we seem to have, maybe other directors have more of that, but I'm not certain. Yeah.
I'd leave it up to the board members on the committee. Do you think a motion is necessary? I think it would be good to have one.
I agree.
Well, if anyone would like to make the motion, I think it's to launch the stakeholder engagement process. Jonathan, is that suggested language in the report?
Yeah, it's in the report. Right.
I'll make a motion. So I'll make a motion. I'll move that the board accept this report to initiate a stakeholder engagement process on Isla Vista nightlife, arts, and cultural planning.
I will second that motion. That motion makes sense to me.
All right. Made by Deschler and seconded by Freeman. Any other public comment or board discussion?
Let me read it back just to make sure we got it. Motion to accept this report and initiate a stakeholder engagement process. Is that, I feel like I missed part of it, but let me know if I actually did get it all.
I said initiate a stakeholder engagement process, I think, to discuss Isla Vista nightlife, arts, and cultural planning. I think that's what you missed.
There we go. Thank
you. All right. So with that, now that we have it read out, Jonathan, can you call the roll?
Yes. Director Brandt?
Yes.
Director Freeman?
Yes.
Director Geis?
Yes.
Director Flaherty?
Yes.
Director Aguilar?
Yes.
And Director Deschler?
Yes.
Excellent. I know we'll all be looking forward to participating in the process and galvanizing the community for it as well. Thanks for your work on that. Next, we have the board retreat discussion to talk about the structure, background, and goals for the retreat.
Great. Thank you. So really quick, we have our retreat date set as February 6th at 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. We'll take a lunch break during that, so it's not the full 4 hours, but that's our limited time to do this. It's our first retreat for the CSD since 2019, so it's been actually a while now since we've done something like this to plan and move ahead. And now we have 3 new board members, and Deborah actually hadn't started work yet when we did the last retreat. It was like a month before she started. So it is going to be a great chance for the whole new team, the current team, to work with each other to make our plans and priorities and goals for the next few years as a district. And so I'm sure, I think I shared the old retreat with our new board members. I may not have, but I can. The old agenda items and everything. I shared some of them for sure. And I have some items that I would propose to put on our retreat, and I'm going to go over them now. But mainly the point of this discussion item is to get the board's view and input of what you need for the retreat. Like, what are you feeling you could really benefit from as a district, as a board, as an individual even, so that I could work with Deborah and Spencer to put together an agenda that is successful, gets us the outcomes we want. And we don't want to waste your time. It's on a Saturday, but we also want to make sure that we're being really productive with this chance we have to do this. So some of my ideas, I'll give you 4 of them, and then I want to hear from you all. And so the first one is just a simple one, which is review the previous board goals. So last time we set 1-year goals, and then we set 3-year goals, which we're 2 years into the 3-year goals and now. So we can take a look at those, see what we still like and what we feel maybe is not as relevant anymore. Another thing is we kind of did this actually in the 2018 retreat, and I want to do it again in a different way, which is an assessment of the district's current services and resources. And so again, like we've done this, Ross did this well in his MSR report, but I want to kind of put this in a format for us to look at and discuss and know where we are at now in our lifespan as a district. And so the next thing would be doing our goal setting and discussion for 2021 and beyond, with the main focus of building up to the LAFCO Municipal Services Review and then beyond that. And then lastly is a discussion, and this would be more of a theoretical discussion that would, bring back future agenda items, is do we have the right resources and structure as a district to meet these goals? And if not, what do we think we need to be able to get to these goals? Is it different funding, different kind of staff skills, things like partnerships? What are the things that our board needs to be successful, our district needs to be successful? So these are the 4 items that I had in mind, but I was wanting to get your direction of and what would be useful to you at this board retreat. And also I wanted to say for him not liking our retreats ever, George Thurlow, former director, has joined us. I think it's ironic he joined during the agenda item about retreats. Yeah, so wanted to hear from everybody on what you're thinking for the retreat.
Well, I'm sure George will be joining us for our retreat as well. I know something he likes more than anything is taking time out of his weekend to talk about Isla Vista with us. Jonathan, I think that was a good synopsis of the retreat. And I think it's really, now that we've done this, I guess this will be our 3rd time, right? I think we're down to the brass tacks and we know what works. I think it's a good structure. So I don't know if I have anything to add on that. Director Deschler.
So I just wanted to add, I think, Jonathan, you mentioned it, but it would be really helpful to look at notes and materials for the past board retreats, and especially for us who are new to this and new to this process, to really have a good background coming into the retreat. And the only other thing I wanted to ask is that, is this a COVID-friendly retreat?
It's on Zoom.
Yay! Okay, good.
We would not do that in person. No.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And yes, I have almost all of the documents from past retreats. I have a good amount of information to share with you all. Some are just like the presentations that we used at the retreats to prime everybody. Then we did a couple like SWOT surveys and pest analysis of the district when we wrote our goals, just to see where everyone was thinking. So I have all those notes. And I think we had even more typed up that turned into the board goals. So I would just say the condensed version of that is what became to our goals. I'd share that. Yeah, so, and I've shared this with Catherine and Marcos already, but some of our even older retreats had some of the how to be a board member kind of stuff. We had our ethics, so we'll go back to the 2017 retreat and make sure that you're caught up to all the 3 previous conversations we've had.
If there's something that's in any of those notes you want to be able to refer back to in more detail, there are, I believe, of all the retreats, certainly, but if not, Jonathan should tell me and I can go fix that. Videos of all of the retreats online. So
yeah, we should talk. One I think might be missing, but yeah, I did check.
Okay, then I can, if you tell me which one that is, I can force myself to actually finish the, yeah.
Sounds good.
Great. Jay, I've got a list of videos I want from you too. We can talk offline about it. Any other comments from directors about the retreat? Especially from new directors, I do want to hear if there's anything you think would be helpful, especially in your new role, for us to talk about then.
I think referencing or being able to look at notes before will be really helpful too. I know there's a lot that I still need to catch up on that you all have already been working on and are familiar with. So I'd really love to look at that too, just so that I can bring any questions that I have to that meeting and can really be informed when I enter that, so that I'm not, too behind.
I think it would be really helpful to, I think you mentioned the SWOT analysis. I think that would be very helpful going into this is to kind of give an idea of what are the top 3 challenges that we face, what are the top 3 opportunities, just so we can it can guide our thinking a little bit as we spend the day together.
Yeah, I might ask you all to fill it out again, or it's at least the 3 new folks to at least fill it out, and returners to maybe make edits, because I thought it was a very helpful part of the last retreat when we did that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about any obstacles you all have faced too, and any projects that we can maybe rethink too and give maybe some insight that we didn't have before. So I'd love to hear about that as well.
That's a great point. And one thing I'll also mention too is that I know we'll have our workshop on planning scheduled for before the retreat. So we'll have the opportunity to go through that. And I think once we've got done with that, I think that then it will be good to start working on filling out the SWOT analysis and all that other stuff. I just want us to have gone through that before we start thinking about all this stuff too holistically. Because I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of. All right, any public comments on this item? All right, if not, back to the board. I think we can wrap up discussion on the board retreat. And next, I know we have closed session on the agenda, but maybe let's go through reports while we still have the public here, and then we can go into closed session. So item 6, reports from board members. Does anyone have a report they'd like to give? All right, I'll go. So one of the things that I'm working on right now is working with some of our partners at Students Against Sexual Assault to try and revamp some of the language and communications to make our resources, such as the Isla Vista community, or the Survivor Resource Center, and the Interpersonal Violence Investigator, a little bit more accessible. I know that especially with the Survivor Resource Center, it's difficult during these times where services are not being offered out of the space and our facilities are closed. So I'm really excited to be able to speak with them about how we can better promote in a way that also respects the privacy of survivors as well. And I just mentioned the last item about planning. So Jonathan and I had a good meeting with Supervisor Hartman and her staff, and Director of Planning at Santa Barbara County, Lisa Plowman, and some other planning staff that had worked on the Isla Vista Master Plan, both when it originally came forward in the early 2000s, and then most recently in 2015, and just about how that meeting is going to end up going. And I'm really looking forward to that being an opportunity for us to really learn a lot about what is in the master plan. I sort of have been watching and reading as much of it as I can. I'll admit it's a little bit dense and isn't exactly bedtime reading. But I will say, I came to Isla Vista in 2015 around the time when there was this renewed effort to reopen the master plan that sort of sputtered out. And I think looking back on that time now with fresh eyes and more experience, having lived here for 5 years, definitely gives me just new ideas and perspectives on it. So I think it'll be really good for us to hear more about what was in that plan and how we can figure out a way for our district to have a role in planning Isla Vista's future. So I'm excited about that. And that's the end of my report. All right. So with that, I don't think we have any reports from committees. And we'll go to report from District Council. Hi, Ross.
Happy 21, everyone. Just want to provide a quick reminder to the new board members to file your assuming office statements. You need to do those within a certain period of time, 30 days or so within the time that you were sworn in. That is a form that's required by the Fair Political Practices Commission. And there are guidelines that are available on the FPPC website on how to fill out that form. And that is something that is administered through the County of Santa Barbara. So you should be able to sign up through the county and electronically file your assuming office statement, as well as future annual statements that you will file in the springtime. Starting typically in March is when those notifications go out. But the FPPC is pretty strict about complying with their regulations, and the assuming office statement is one of the first documents that you will fill out. That's it. That's my reminder for all of the new board members. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ross. We'll go to report from General Manager.
Great, thank you. Not a huge report today since we were on break for a lot of the time since the last meeting. Couple things that I do want to note though. First is that our internship, the public policy internship, is back up, and we'll be starting those interns in about a week, well, about 2 weeks. But we had 40 applications, so still a lot of interest in the CSD internship. It's about how much it's always been. The Compost Collective, the new compost site at Estero Park is almost done. I think, I walked by there maybe on Friday and it looked like it was getting close to finishing. I recommend everyone goes and checks it out. We will be having a facility use agreement with IVRPD coming to the board soon so that we can start operating it. But that's big news. Please go check it out. It looks really great. It's going to have things like a living roof to make it extra sustainable. So it's a great project that we contributed to, but IVRPD took the responsibility for. The STEP grant, we are going to be bringing back the full agreement for the board to approve in the next couple of meetings in February, probably. But I spent most of last week, or a lot of my time last week, doing the final edits and revisions to make sure that we're all good to go with CARB. And now we officially are as of yesterday, and they're going to send us our agreement soon. So that's really exciting. It also reminds me that the grant starts in July, and July is very soon to now. So it's coming up very fast. So we're gonna have this big project on our hands not too long from now. And finally, Deborah and I have been working pretty hard on record keeping and updating our record system and creating a very nice and well organized one-stop shop of all the district records. We got through resolutions and most of our contracts, so we're still making progress. And while we have all of these records, we wanted to create a one definitive place where we can go and have them all on hand, well organized. So that's what we've been working on, and we've obviously have a lot moving forward on our plate with 2 extra board meetings in the next month for the planning and the retreat. So that's going to have our attention. But yeah, that's the report. Happy to take any questions.
Excellent. Any questions from the board for Jonathan? All right, excellent. Then with that, we're going to move to item 5. We're going to recess to closed session. This is District Council Performance and Contract Review under Government Code 54957B1. So as we recess to closed session, Jonathan, I think you can put folks in the waiting room, and we will report out to the session once we finish.
Real quick, did you want to ask about public comment?
Public comment on closed session? Sorry, did I miss something?
Yes. Just
yeah. Is there any public comment about us recessing to closed session? Okay. And so hearing none, we'll recess to closed session now.
Second.
All right, Jonathan, is that everyone? All right. So we're reconvening to open session. Council, anything to report?
Yes, thank you, President Brandt and members of the board and the public. In closed session, the performance evaluation of district council occurred, and by a vote of 6 in favor with 1 absence, which was Director Bertrand, all directors present on a motion by Director Freeman, seconded by Director Deschler, voted to have a draft of a legal services agreement for 2021 through 12/31/2023, placed on public agenda for Tuesday, the 26th, as a consent item with terms reflective of the performance evaluation. That concludes my report out of closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Our next meeting date is January 26th. It'll be at 6 p.m. right here on Zoom. Any board members have future agenda items they'd like to bring up at this time? Director Deschler.
I would like to get an update on the pallet housing project and also the People's Park. Can we do that? Can we ask somebody for an update? And I'd also like to get, I don't know if this happens regularly, but I think it would be helpful to get an IV foot patrol update on crime in that area. Crime in the Embarcadero Loop area.
Yes. Yeah. You want them as 2 separate items, is what you're thinking?
However you want to arrange it. I just know we're getting from campus side, we're getting a lot of people concerned about crime in that area and feelings of safety or not feeling safe.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll follow up.
Excellent.
Also, just really quick, I wanted to share, maybe I would want to do this moving forward more often too, but in terms of future agenda items, some things that are on the docket are a mid-year report for Ivy Beautiful, a mid-year financial report, and a youth task force joining one, appointing a representative. That's been proposed by Director Bertrand. So just wanted to put that out. We have some things in the docket. I want to do that more often during this item.
Excellent. And I'll also mention, although our next meeting is January 26th, we'll also have the planning workshop on the 27th at 5 p.m. So it's so close in time that I feel do notice right now as well. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Made by Freeman, seconded by Geis. Is there any public comment or further board discussion?
Thank you for my first meeting.
Thank you for your participation. Very good.
Thank you, directors. And may I say, I think we got through this one relatively pretty quickly. We'll see if we can keep that streak up together. All right, Jonathan, can you call the roll?
Yeah, Director Brandt. Director Freeman.
Yes.
Director Geis.
Yes.
Flaherty.
Yes.
Aguilar. And Deschler.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We'll see everyone on the 26th. Take care.